Are you like me and are fed up of rich people telling us how lazy we are and how we just need to work a little bit harder or save a little bit harder, and basically it's all our fault that we are poor and not as rich as them? And so am I. Welcome back to the Welsh Spitball, where I just talk and talk and talk, and today's going to be a little bit different, only because usually I have a topic in my head and I just come up with. I like to just talk about what's in my head, and just sort of, I don't know, a little bit of rambling in parts, but a lot of it is more. I have an idea, I have a concept, and then I'll just sort of break it down on camera, live. Maybe not live, maybe in the future, but yeah, I don't usually have a structure, and I don't usually have like too much of a structure, and I don't usually have bullet points or notes or anything. Usually, I just have my laptop in front of me so that there's not this big empty space. I'll be completely honest. But today, I actually have notes because I didn't want to miss anything, but also I'm naming some people and naming some companies, and I don't want to get sued. And I think my biggest problem would be to sort of ramble, and accidentally say something that may get me in trouble. So I've made notes, and we're still going to have just a regular chat and a conversation like we always do, but it might have a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more context to the rambling, I guess. So welcome back to another episode of the Welsh Spitball. It's Friday. I hope you are having a good weekend planned, I guess. I hope you had a good week, and yeah, I hope it was busy. I hope it was full of stuff that you enjoy, because if you're not, what's the point? There is no point. And yeah, I hope you've got a good weekend planned. But I don't think I've got anything. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've got anything. I thought I was going to go to county trials with my nephew. I'm not going to that because I've got a meeting with, I'm going to be honest, with a political party, but it is the party that I support. But I don't know. I'm sort of nuanced with stuff, so I quite like to, and I'm quite fluid with stuff. If I'm being completely honest, right? And this is my first tangent of the day, so please bear with me. I will keep it short. Like I said in my last video, I think most people are in the centre. I think people have points from every single party that they actually agree with, and I'm just honest about that. I think that every single party that I can think of has a good point about them. They have a lot of bad, but they have some good. And I don't think there is one party that I'm like, yes, you are 100% exactly who I want to sort of be with, or associate with. But there is a party that I am more connected with, and I've got a meeting with them basically, so I'm not going to be able to go to the county show or county trials. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I don't think I've got anything. I don't think I've got anything in particular. Me and my partner will probably do something. Might even do something with their family. And that's all I know. That is all I know so far. So I hope you're more ahead with your thinking than I am. I quite like to just, I don't know, sort of make it up as I go along. Sort of like these videos, but with my real life. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. So jumping straight in, I think we've all seen that clip of James Charles going around, and before you demonize me, I don't really keep up with influencers or even celebrities that, like the type that would go to like the Met Gala. I could not care less about. BAFTA awards. My man Martin Lewis, he won a BAFTA, and his speech almost made me cry. Only because it almost made him cry, and I think he is a genuine person that just sort of accidentally won a BAFTA. Not accidentally as in he didn't do anything, but he sort of, yeah, won it from a good cause. And yeah, I don't keep up to date with, I keep up to date with social media. I don't keep up to date with sort of influencers, if that makes sense. because I feel like they influence us in the wrong direction. And yeah, that is not me. But James Charles has sort of been unavoidable to come across over social media the past couple of days, and it's because of a video that he made. And I'm going to summarize it really quickly. So a girl reached out to him. She'd just been fired from a job, and supposedly what she'd asked for is for his help with her GoFundMe. So he had received this GoFundMe. It didn't have much money, and she was basically either asking for him to share it or to donate to it. Either way, I wouldn't personally do that. Even if they're a multi-billionaire, unless it was for a cause, like, eventually I really want funding to be able to go around universities and businesses and counties and teach them about business and try and motivate them and guide them into business. That is my ambition. And eventually I might ask billionaires for donations to be able to actually run that and fund that. I don't necessarily agree with what she did, but it's his reaction that got everybody in a pickle, because I don't think anybody's divided of why it was wrong for him to say what he did. Don't quote me 100% on this, but he basically said, "Why don't you? You're a lazy piece of. Why don't you just go and get a job like the rest of us?" I think that people think that it's so out of touch because he literally makes videos of him dressing in weird clothes or dancing or singing, or just literally the easiest jobs ever that pretty much anybody can do. If you, well, he can't sing, so I don't know. Even if you can't sing, apparently you can do that job as well. And yeah, it was just really out of touch. It was really unnecessary. He could have just said no, sorry, or he could have just shared it. I mean, everybody needs help once in a while. Fuck me, like, especially, I'm just assuming this girl was from America. I don't have a clue. But in the UK, I think we're a lot more progressive with socialism and just helping people out. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%, but I think we are quite generous. And yeah, it wouldn't have been hard for him to, at the very least, just say no, sorry, I can't right now, or whatever it may be. And he could have easily just left it under, but he decided to make a really out of touch video that got a lot of people heated, rightfully so. It was a very weird topic, and hopefully he'll learn from this. But I think I've seen more apology videos than he's got videos. Somehow they outweigh all of his videos combined. He's got more apology videos, so I don't know. Maybe he won't learn from his mistakes, but there's always hope. But leads me to my next person in question. So this is all, I'm going to say all alleged, because it's stuff that you see online, and unfortunately there's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of stuff that you can't believe online. And I'm going to tell everybody to go and do their own research, but allegedly it has come to light that Zach Palance, which is the Green political leader, Zach Palance, he allegedly bought a £2 million home. Now, I'm only going to bring up his name because there are far more people than I can list on this video. I think the issue that I have with it is not that he bought a £2 million home, because in the grand scheme of things, that's not like really rich. That's not like, someone could work really, really hard in a normal career and still afford that, maybe, eventually. My problem is that he screams tax the rich, but to the average person, he's really rich. Now, he's not the only politician that'll do this. Nigel Farage just took he's admitted to it, but for whatever reason took £5 million. It could be a donation or whatever it could have been. I don't know what it was. But he took £5 million. Now, I'm sorry, but you can't... I feel like morally you can't say tax the rich when you're considered the rich. Well, you can say that, but as long as you're sort of, I don't know, he sort of tries to alienate the rich and say that they're the worst people in the world, and all these things. And I get where he's coming from, where he wants, he wants big businesses, which I'm going to go on to in the next part of this video. He does want to like tax them, which is I agree with, but I think my problem is that he says how bad they are and how shit they are, and these mega corporations shouldn't exist, which I in part agree with. But you are the rich, and I think that it's difficult to get behind someone that is advocating for the poor when he's nowhere near the poor. Like he's not even close to being the poor. And I read a lot of books, and there's a book called The Laws of Human Nature, and in that book, he says, "Be wary of the wolves, but be even more wary of the wolves in sheep clothing." And it just reminds me of that. It just gives me that sort of vibe where he is, I don't know. I think that if he could, he would do that, but he can't, so he's not. So he's advocating for change. Do you get what I mean? I don't know. It is. I'm going to say all alleged because I don't want to get sued. But I don't know. I feel like it's on the line of being wrong. And when you're a politician running on that and making massive strides in winning local councils and local elections and stuff, I feel like you have to be a little bit more squeaky clean. I think it should be. Whether I'm wrong, I don't know. But it's just my opinion. I just don't think you should be buying £2 million homes when, I don't know. I don't even know. That's the trouble. So I think that most people feel like this way. We don't know why it's wrong, because we're saying that they're saying that it's for the greater good. Like he's advocating for all this, and he's just happened to make loads of money and all this, which I sort of agree with in a way, because like eventually I want to earn loads of money, and I think that most people want to earn loads of money. They just feel like they can't, or they're stuck, or they might not have the opportunities that someone does. Like, for example, me being in the most western point, almost of the whole of the UK, except for Northern Ireland, mainland UK. I know you've got Scotland that goes over a little bit more, but West Wales is so isolated to so many people. I wouldn't have the same opportunity as someone in London does. And just an average Joe in London doesn't have the same opportunities as the son of a banker may have. Whatever it may be. We're all slightly less opportune prone than each other. And I think that the further away you get from having all the opportunities, the more, not bitter, but more annoyed you are, and rightfully so. But it's what we do with that. And that's my overall message is, I know it seems hard now, but I don't think that it's impossible to think that we could come up with a solution to spread more wealth, but also so my whole shtick is being able to support small businesses and helping them thrive. And I'm going to naturally progress into my third topic of the day, and this is going to be a quick video, I've just understood, but I don't know. I think that I want to open it up to comments in the comment section if there's anybody watching this, let alone commenting on this. That would be awesome. But basically, my whole stick is wanting to help small businesses. And look, big business has a place in society, I think. For example, my local county town is trying to rebuild itself. And right now, it is struggling to get small businesses in because for one, council tax is really high, but also small businesses or just normal people like you or I don't have the capital to just be like, right, okay, we can risk. So, sometimes 15, 20k and maybe not get a return. So if you had a really good idea, you could have the best idea in the world, but you still don't know whether it's going to make loads of money in your local area unless you can see in the future. So you just can't. But what big business can do is 20,000 to them, or they'll probably even spend 50,000 kitting it all out and marketing and stuff. They might spend 50k, which is a drop in the ocean to them. That'll just be a tax write-off, and it'll just go on their books as a negative rather than a positive, and it'll actually be good for them to expand if they've got loads of profit anyway. So I think big business has got its place, and I don't think that we should just completely get rid of big businesses. I think that they do really help. And overall, they do a lot of good for our communities. Where I do have a problem, and every single country in the world pretty much, or every progressive country in the world does do this, and it's where tax loopholes come into the play. So imagine this. So this is just a loophole that, for example, allegedly Starbucks uses. I don't know whether it's common knowledge or whether it's a fact or whether it's allowed to be spoken about. So I'm going to say all alleged, and this is all my opinion, blah, blah, but it's all an opinion. Right, so basically, Starbucks will make loads of money in the UK. Say £1 million, just to round it up. It's probably $1 billion, but we'll just say $1 million just to make it easier. They'll have that million, say 40% of that is profit, which is very high, but we'll just say 40% is profit, 400,000 they've got in profit. Now they'll have another company in Luxembourg. There's these tax havens that big businesses will have another company, and that company will own the rights to the Starbucks name. So Starbucks in the UK will not own the name Starbucks. Starbucks in, we'll say Luxembourg for simplicity, they'll have a company in Luxembourg that'll own the rights to the Starbucks name. So they'll charge Starbucks in the UK 400k to have that money, have the name Starbucks to be able to use it and stuff. Therefore, Starbucks in the UK has made zero profit. Starbucks in Luxembourg will have £400,000 in profit, and obviously expenses and blah 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 blah, but it'll be a lot less than tax. And hey ho, there we go. They'll avoid tax in that way. Now, where I have a problem with that is, look, I get that it's smart and it's so me and my partner get into this dispute quite a lot, and I think no matter what we did, they'd always find a way to get around paying tax. I just feel like if it's going to save them, across the board, not just one company, but if it saves them hundreds and hundreds of billions of pounds in tax every single year, they're going to find a loophole for it. I'm sorry, but they just are. And I don't know. I feel like it's futile trying to argue we need to tax them more, when they're always going to find a way out of paying tax. It's just a fact. But what we can do, now, I'm not advocating for any boycotts, because I think that, riots or protests, a lot of the time it can harm the cause. But what we can do is support small businesses. So small businesses don't have these tax loopholes. They're not financially viable for them to do that. They'd have to spend at least 10k, 20k trying to set up a business in another country, and then obviously setting up the funnel to be able to funnel money into the country, and all these different reasons why small businesses can't do that. Well, they can, but it's not really viable, because they might only be making 20k in profit that's taxable, what's the point of making all that hassle just to pay it anyway, in a different form of tax where it's setting up the businesses and whatnot. So it's not viable. But also, small business actually cares about the community. So, for example, there's a coffee shop in America. It's called Go Coffee, I think it is, or Co Coffee, and they hire autistic people predominantly so that they can get onto the job market, and they've got experience then, and they can take that experience into other fields, and people would hire them ideally because of their experience, rather than not hiring them because they're autistic or they haven't had the experience needed. A big business isn't necessarily going to do that because they don't care about the local community necessarily. They don't have any obligation to, but they just don't necessarily care about the smaller communities. Whereas a small business, for example, I ran 100 miles for a charity. It was a local charity. Not that I'm against big charities either, but I just don't give my money to them. When I see that the salaries that some of these charity owners make, I just don't agree with it. And yeah, they might be doing good, but I don't know. I just don't think that they should be making as much money as they do. But I digress. I ran a charity run for a local charity that gives free mental health counselling to people that need it. And I was confident that, so there's 4 founders, so the money may have gone, between them, but I raised several thousands of pounds for that charity. And I knew how many counselling courses that would fund, and I knew where it was going, and it was going for my community. And yeah, I think that when we support small businesses and small charities, and they're the people that actually care, because they're not the ones that are making millions from this. They're the ones that have spent loads of money trying to set up the charity, trying to run the charity, probably for free for a long time, or even at a negative off their own back, and they still do that for the greater good. And yes, they may not have the reach as of now that a big business has, but especially with social media, maybe in the future they will, if they sort of can get hold of that. And I don't know, maybe they could, for example, the mental health one that I ran for, I don't know, they could create an app that sort of like BetterHelp, where I think they're an incredible app if you did need counselling. I'm not associated with them, but I think they are incredible. Where they partner you with a counsellor. Maybe they could do that where it maybe even becomes cheaper, or they could do like classes where it helps like multiple people all at once. I really don't know how you would, but they could increase their reach by a lot more. And yeah, it would be for the local community. And I think that if we had more support and help for, like, there's incredible people that have incredible ideas that want to do good, but they don't have the funding or the confidence to be able to do it, or the help that they need to be able to do that. I think that if we had that, even if we had to spend billions on it as a country, I think that the knock-on effects, or I know that the knock-on effects would be greater than that, because of the tax paid and the people helped, and yeah, the job creations and all these different things that, I don't know, I think it would help a lot more. So yeah, I think it just comes to being out of touch. I don't want to name 2 more names. I don't want, lawsuits out my arse, but like the Met Gala, some of these dresses or suits, or just the jewelry that they wear is worth millions and millions of pounds. I'm pretty sure I saw an article saying that The Rock's watch was worth 6 million. Nobody needs a watch worth 6 million. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care. You do not need a watch for 6 million. And that is the tip of the iceberg. You know, he's a billionaire. Or multi, I don't know. He's worth a lot. And I'm just going to actually look up his net worth whilst I talk. But there's no reason, no matter how much money you have, that you need watches and jewellery that are worth millions whilst people are still starving and people can't afford just normal shit. So as of 2024, his net worth is apparently 800 million. I'm pretty sure I swear he crossed over the £1 billion mark. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it did. But even 800 million is just crazy. And like, he's worked for it. I'm not saying that he shouldn't, because it's like footballers, right? People will whinge about how much footballers make. But if footballers didn't make all that money, then whoever owned them, Manchester United or whatever, would make all the money, and then that would be funneled out of the country anyway. So the fact that it's getting funneled into people that live in the UK and stuff, I don't know. Like, yeah, okay, they are ridiculously rich, but the money is going to go one or two places. It's either going to go into an offshore account and never see the light of day, and the UK will be none the wiser to that money, or it goes to hundreds of players and academies and all these different things that pay, maybe not professional players, but semi-professional, and pay them money to play football and entertain us. And if it was actually a massive problem, then stop watching football. But you wouldn't, because that is the reason why we pay so much money. We want the entertainment, and yeah, the fact that people get paid millions a year for it. I think that it's just what you do with that is what I sort of don't agree with. If I was earning millions of pounds, my goal is to earn millions of pounds so that I can put it into philanthropy and helping other people. That is my goal. So my goal is never to retire. I don't want to retire. I just want to keep working. And the work that I want to do isn't necessarily, manual labour or grafting my arse off, because I don't think anybody can do that at the age of 90, or I don't know how long I'm going to live, but maybe 100. But I want to have enough money so that I can create an organisation that helps people, that does good for the local community and maybe in the national community. Like, I don't see why it should end with even Wales. Why not the UK? Why not another country? Like, I don't know. I think that is the all-round goal, is to help as many people as I can, because I know I can. I know that I can do it, and yeah, it comes with help from you guys and from social media. Like, hopefully, ideally, I'd have a secure income from social media that would allow me to, well, hopefully, in the very long term, fund these projects, but at the very least fund me so that I could go off and find funding for these projects. That is the long-term goal of this channel. I'm going to be completely honest. I do want it to make money, but I want it to make money for other people as well as myself. That is the all-around goal, but I think that, like you should be with me, it's hard to back people when there's so many people advocating for small, the small man, whether that's business or just people. So many people will say that they are for an organisation or a cause, and then almost do the exact opposite. So I understand why people don't, or are a bit skeptical of people that want to help others. I get it. I do understand that it is a weird concept, because so many people abuse that trust or power. But my goal is to prove that people can grow without without corruption. I don't know what to call it. Without letting it get to their head. And I think that that's James Charles's problem. Is I think he's forgotten how hard it is to work your arse off. And I've said this story in my last video, but I was working 7 days a week. Not just, typing on a laptop or recording a video or doing some, minor stuff. I was doing 12, 13, 14, sometimes 16-hour days, like grafting. And I did that for over a year on 7 days. That is over a year straight, weekends, weekdays, every single day of the year for over a year. And I think people forget how hard it is to do that when you get a little bit of money for creating videos. And, I'm not saying that he doesn't work hard, but it's in a different way. But also, I think anybody would work hard if they weren't on the breadline. So a lot of people's problems at the moment is not because they're working hard. I think most people want to work hard. I know that sounds weird, but I think people are happier when they work. At least work to some degree. To some degree. And I think that when you're earning millions of pounds from, maybe months of work, but it's months of, hyping it up and just doing a video here and a press talk there and you're hyping up to make millions of pounds, or at least tens and tens and tens of thousands of pounds. I'm sorry, but anybody would do that. And that is exactly why you've gone into that profession, if you can call it that, is because you know that it's a lot easier. Maybe not to get into, but it is a lot easier to make a lot of money, but also to maintain and to do. And that's why so many people want to do that as a job. That's why TikTok works so well, because people want that life that you have been lucky enough to achieve and obtain. Most people aren't like that. And yeah, I think that's the issue generally, is that he's forgotten how hard it is to work and not be able to afford the lifestyle that you should at least be able to afford, working 40, 50 hours a week. It's not even the fact that people are working hard, it's the fact that people are working hard and not being able to afford even the bare minimum. Even the bare minimum to be able to live, eat, drink, wash. Some people can't afford that. Some people can't afford that with the prices and, the different forms of tax that we're paying now. Like, it's just criminal. And I don't know. I think that it is really easy for people to, say go get a job or go apply for a job, but it's easier said than done, is what I'm going to say. I think that is where Wales as well is sort of struggling a lot, is because we don't have as many small businesses as we should do. So I'm sort of jumping back to sort of business now rather than influencers and famous people. There's I read on I think it was Sky News or someone that now 2 pubs are shut in every single day in the UK. Now, we're known for our pub life. I think there's a pub for every human in the UK, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of pubs, and it's what we're known for, and yet 2 are shut in every single day. And I'm not an advocate for drinking, but I'm an advocate for small businesses, and I think that when you've got that many pubs shutting down, and then obviously small businesses, not just pubs, shutting down every single day, I feel like something has to happen. And I don't know, especially with an economy that is, the foundations are small business. It's not like it's the top of the Eiffel Tower, it is the legs of it. and when they go, pretty much everything's going to go, unfortunately. I think until we do something about it, I think they're just only going to get worse. And yeah, I'm going to leave it on that note, on that very uplifting note. We need to do more for small businesses and small people. I think that helping people get into business is a massive contributor to helping small businesses. But whilst they are running, we also need to help them. So that is where I come in with the strategic business partner. I shout out in every video because I think it's important. Go over to my website or just email me on connect@benevansconsultancy.com, and yeah, let's see how I can help your business thrive and make more money and keep more, basically. So yeah, if you did enjoy that video, please shoot me a follow. And yeah, it's a crazy world out there at the moment. I think that there's so many questions and not enough answers, and I think people are struggling with that, and rightfully so. It is a weird world to navigate, but good always prevails. And yeah, I know it may take time, but good and honest people will prevail, and the world will be a better place. So if you did enjoy, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.